Wait for other councilors to come back. The meeting today is around item 11 on our agenda. It is about techniques.
Pyrotechnics.
Pyrotechnics.
Yes.
Pyrotechnics. You know, so in a nutshell, this is about fireworks and the fees involved around that. That's what it is. Right here, I'm joined by my fellow councilors, Rashida Caldwell, our president, Rita Peniawa, and we got a couple of other councilors that are taking a break and we'll be back.
Okay.
They'll be right back.
They'll be right back.
We have been working overtime today. So, and I'm joined by.
Patient.
Huh?
I'm patient. I can wait.
You patient?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want them to miss and then ask a bunch of questions that I might already go over.
Yeah, we'll give them maybe one more minute.
Okay.
But I'm joined by Chief Mons and his team.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for
And I
joining
got
me.
Executive Deputy Chief Elton Davis and First Deputy Chief Dan Downs.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. Yes. Thank you both. So let's wait a little bit. They should be here.
2 minutes, yeah. Oh, there you go. No, there. Yeah. No, there's 4 of us.
He hasn't started the meeting yet?
Yeah, we were waiting for you.
What is going on? Out of control. What's wrong?
We weren't there. We were waiting for you.
Well, I'm here. Let's go.
Waiting for Patrona and Marty.
Yeah.
So Chief, just so we, just give an overall overview of what this is and where we are, where we are trying to go.
All right. I'll give you the full scope of everything, and then I should answer most questions. But then if you have questions, and me and we've been working on this for a few years to try
Think
to.
about the last time this was updated, 'cause when this was done and. Put historical
Okay, I will.
background.
I have all that information.
But so there are 4 of us.
As we wait, I'm just giving, throwing a little shade right now. Chief Mons. Why are you saying that?
Are
I just wanted.
you trying to make us
1993.
1993, we graduated together.
1993?
Hold on. I just had to throw a little shade out there, just so you know how it is.
And Chief Mans has bought 2 houses from the land bank, too.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Fixed them all up with these hands and a few other hands. Yep.
Proud of our Syracuse community and all the way up. Just
Here they are.
great things, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, Council Nave is here. Council Joe Rouser will catch up. So
Okay. All right. I'll start off if you're ready.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're here to request approval for a proposed amendment to Chapter 5 of the revised general ordinances, specifically those that govern amusement businesses and public assemblies for entertainment or culture. This amendment will establish a new and clearly defined category of entertainment titled pyrotechnics, fireworks, and flame effect displays. It's going to create a new article, which is going to be number 12, and it's going to set forth specific rules and safety requirements and permit standards governing these events within the city. The purpose of this amendment, first, is intended to properly regulate pyrotechnics, both indoor and outdoor, within the city of Syracuse, in alignment with New York State Fire Code, executive law, and our NFPA standards, which is the National Fire Protection Association standards, and they provide standards that keep people safe with all types of fire protection. Secondly, and equally important, this amendment is intended to recover the actual documented costs associated with permit application reviews, safety plan approvals, on-site oversight, and standby coverage provided by our trained code-compliant fire personnel. These costs are currently absorbed by the fire department budget, and we're taking a significant loss. In effect, the department is subsidizing pyrotechnic events with taxpayer dollars, even though these events are produced by private entities that generate revenue from them. This proposed fee schedule will ensure that these pyrotechnic events can continue and take place, but requiring that the entities that profit from them, they will bear the appropriate and reasonable costs associated with the public oversight that's mandated. Currently, the city of Syracuse charges $25 per pyrotechnic event. The fee does not reflect today's operation realities and how much it costs us to staff these events. And to your question about historical context, before we raised concerns over these fee schedules in 2024, some organizations were paying $25 for an entire season of pyrotechnic events, and it wasn't by per event. While that practice has since been corrected, every event now is only $25 per event, but it's still hopefully insufficient for what it costs us to staff these events. Between 2023 and 2024, the fire department's overtime costs to staff these events increased by nearly 50%, and we projected to continue increases into 2025 and 26 if this fee schedule is not remedied with this proposed legislation. So despite issuing permits for dozens of pyrotechnic events, we annually only recoup 8% of what it costs for us to staff these events. And it's not a sustainable model. And to go in a little bit deeper into the numbers, 2023, our staff spent 208 overtime hours staffing these pyrotechnic events. We spent $13,500. In 2024, we spent 293 hours at these events on overtime. That costs close to $21,000. Between those 2 years, that's an increase of 85 overtime hours over the previous year, or 41%. And that's an increase of 50% in the amount of money we spent, which is close to $6,700. So, like I said, as we get into 2025 and 2026, more of these events are getting on people's schedules, so the cost is just going up, and with this minimal $25 fee, it's not enough. And for more reference, back in 2023, we issued 44 pyrotechnic permits. Some places like the Mets and places like the Landmark Theater, who have shows that have these pyrotechnic events, historically, they would just pay that $25 for the entire season. Now they're paying for every event. And to put this into perspective, in that 2023, for those 44 displays, the total revenue we would have gotten is only $1,100, and the actual overtime cost per that year was $13,500. And like I said, we're only recouping 8% of those costs. In 2024, it was similar. We permitted 66 events at $25 an event. That would come out to $1,650. That actual overtime cost was almost $21,000. And again, that's only an 8% recovery rate of what we're spending out of our budget. And this disparity clearly demonstrates the inadequacy of the current fee structure, and that's why we're proposing this new structure. These events are occurring at locations like the Landmark Theater, JMA Wireless Dome, and I'll just say Syracuse University. They're already paying whatever it costs for us to do, whether it's pyrotechnics or anything they need our staffing for. They pay us back in full to the total amount. We never have an issue with Syracuse University with any of the things they need us to require our staffing at. But we also provide these services at the War Memorial, NBT Stadium, the Inner Harbor, at Bellevue Country Club, and we do churches and schools whenever that's needed. So I know Chief Davis discussed this a little bit at the study session the other day, but we're looking at feeing for 3 separate situations. The first situation is going to be requiring for setup only. It's going to be for one of our staff members. It's going to be $75 per event, and this is going to be for like lower risk events such as cold sparkler displays that are occurring at weddings or sporting events. The reduced $75 is reflective of the amount of time and the resources required. They go into a quick check, and once everything is squared away, they can leave. So that situation number 1 is only going to be $75. Situation 2 is indoor and outdoor pyrotechnic events. This is like the fireworks at the Inner Harbor, or the big 4th of July fireworks, or like at Syracuse University, if they're doing a concert with all the different pyrotechnics at a concert. We're going to be charging $300 per event for those big events. That permit review, and that's going to include permit review, and it's going to include up to 4 hours of one of our certified staff members to stand by at the location, and this is all handled on overtime. So that fee is going to be $300. Situation number 3 is going to be any event that could be any combination of 1 or 2 that requires a extended standby or additional personnel. So what we would do is we determine the actual hours of whatever pyrotechnic event. We'd issue an invoice about the amount of hours we're going to need, the amount of personnel, the hourly rates, and then we would give them an invoice, and we'd expect that payment as soon as the event's over, based on that. And so for a 4-hour standby assignment, it costs us approximately $299, which aligns approximately with the $300 permit fee.
So how do you arrive to that specific number? Because I see you going from $25 to $75.
Yeah.
What's the justification for that?
So-
how do you calculate that?
So for one of our members to be at these locations for 4 hours, it costs $299.12.
For just one?
For one person,
Okay.
yes. And like, just for a reference, just for your information, we did research other cities because we wanted to like have all this information. And like, the city of Binghamton charges $286. The city of Rochester charges $294. So we're right in alignment with those. But
And that's for the major display, right? Or
that's
is
for
it,
the
is it
number
for
two.
the minor display?
No, that'll be for number 2, indoor,
Okay.
outdoor pyrotechnic events.
Okay,
Those are for the big.
So you just round it up to
Yep.
300 rather than 2?
Yep.
Okay,
And
okay.
Chief Davis can get into exactly what they do if you want to know. They have 4 hours of there's requirements that they need to do while they're there for those 4 hours, for safety reasons, for the people that are lighting the fireworks off, the people that are watching, and to make sure that there's no fires that occur because of the fireworks going on. Okay. So I can
Yeah.
get into more, but that's
No,
basically it.
I was looking at, especially the $75, you look at, and it depends who you send, right, for overtime, it depends.
Yes.
Because if it is a high-ranking officer, like
Yeah.
Chief Alton,
Oh, we-
that's.
we won't send him. He'll go for
We're talking
free.
about something different, right? But if you are looking at a junior firefighter
Yeah.
who's just coming in,
Yeah.
you know, and when you are, look at what they get paid,
Yeah.
plus overtime, it's close to that with administrative fees and everything else,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Am I looking at that right?
Correct,
Okay.
yes, the hourly rate is baked into this $300 fee. If it was only for 1 hour, that's approximately what it would cost
time
for
and
one.
half,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yep,
Plus maybe administrative fees here and there to
yep,
build up to that.
yep, and the
Okay.
$75 fee, somebody's having a wedding, they got these cold sparklers, they'd go, our member would go, make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be per the fire code. Once that's squared away, they would leave, but there's somebody needs to go to make sure that everything that they have is set up properly, and then when they light it, it's not gonna like cause a negative issue there.
So the way I look at it, it's more or less that the old fee was just a permit application fee. It wasn't a staff fee.
No staff fee at all.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess when you go back and look, I went back to like 1999, which is 25 years ago. There was only like, you know, I don't want to pick on any certain one of these organizations, but one of these organizations only did like 7 pyrotechnics events for a whole season, right? And so that was $25 for 7 games. And like I said, since then, not that they were all at one entity, but some of these same places that was 7 events in 1999, they got what, 20,
Yeah.
25 to 30. So, you know, being a business, on a business perspective, if I was them too, I'd do as many as I could for the $25 also, and that is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But while that's occurring, when I come and, you know, go through the budget hearings and we're trying to get money in our budget,
Yeah.
these dollars are coming out of that money to
I
pay
mean,
for. And
I'm sitting here, I'm upset because,
Yeah, it's understandable.
because I utilize the parks.
1,000 to 1,000. This is.
Well, I utilize the parks, and I have to pay $35, $40, $50 just to use the park. Oh, I think it's 50 because it's to use the park for one day, and 35 or so for electricity.
Yes.
So, you know, it's, how are they paying so little, and a resident is
Yep.
paying, you know, this on the other side? But yeah, so,
Chief, I heard you say, so when people are gonna be paying for these services, if they don't do a deposit, and they all pay at the end, how does that?
No, the third option, so the first one, the $75 one, when they apply for the permit, they're gonna pay that up front. The second one, where the $300 fee, where we know it's gonna be fireworks at like the Inner Harbor or wherever, it could be at Bellevue Country Club for somebody's doing a wedding. We're gonna know based on the application, the type of fireworks that are going to go off, we know that somebody needs to be there for 4 hours, and that's going to be $300. They're going to pay that right at the time of application. Number 3, if I'm not misspeaking, number 3, what's going to happen is if, say that 4 hours goes over to 7 or 8 hours, then we're going to bill them for the excess amount of staffing and resources that we put at that location, and then we'll send them an invoice with the amount of people that we needed, how many people were there, how much money they make an hour, and what they were doing, and we're going to basically bill them, and then we're going to expect that money to come back after the event. So I would believe the $300 fee would be hit up front, and then anything that's in excess of that $300, we're going to bill them.
So that's what invoice cost is?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay.
Yes, yes,
I had a
Councilman.
question around that.
Yes.
Should there be any cancellations then of any of these, events that people had already paid for?
So what we did, and even last year, because we brought this up, and I know it was in the news media because there was a large fire and there was a bunch of different things, because we were working with Corporation Council on making sure the charter and the ordinances in the charter, the language was the way it was supposed to be. We needed more time to get that straight. And so even though we have been wanting to make these changes, anybody that had a permit in effect, we just let them pay the $25 a fee. But for event, but when this, hopefully this gets passed, this will start January 1st, I believe, the way the legislation is written.
And then going back to when you said that they would pay a balance if you needed more people
Yes.
to run the event,
Yes.
they would know that before that happens. They would know that if you needed more people, you would have to ask them for more money.
Yes, based on what they're going to apply and what they're planning on doing and how many fireworks or how many different ordinances that they're going to,
It's only the application.
yes, it's going to be in the application. And then anything that goes over that, we're going to invoice them based off that. Anything you want to add?
I want to stay around what Council Peniagua. Yeah.
A lot of the events will.
Chief?
You want to get up to the microphone? Yep, sorry. Okay. Sorry about Miss.
Dan Downs, First
Downs
Deputy
has
Chief. To your question about a cancellation, the majority of the instances where there is a cancellation, we keep the dollar amount and do a rescheduled date.
Okay.
So most times it's not wasted money. We just shift the date because typically it's rain.
Okay.
I'm all for this, it just seems
Me too.
self-explanatory. I'm just curious, what made y'all say wait?
It's a 13,000 versus 1,000.
But it's been this way for years.
Yeah.
But for years, you guys have been getting.
Yeah, I think, I think the community looks forward to these events. I think when we start, I've been the chief for a couple years, and then we started, these things come up and we start looking at it, and it's like, how do you address it so it's equitable? You're not going to ruin everybody's summer, but, when you're making sure that the money as a steward of the tax dollars that we're given to make sure it's going to the mandatory things we have to do, and this is kind of not mandatory, we're I would say the fire department, we're not in the business of, besides doing fire department education and
Right,
outreach,
right.
some of these events are put on, we're just going to make sure they're safe. And as we started realizing there are more of these events, we realized we weren't funding it properly.
Yeah, yeah.
So what kind of theater events, pyrotechnics? There's Landmark Theater.
I'll let
so-
Chief Davis
So when
speak
these
to that.
shows come in, like
Yes.
the Lion King or somebody like
Yeah.
that, so if they have any kind of
Exactly.
Yes.
technical, then we
Yes.
would give them.
Yeah.
Elton Davis, Executive Deputy Chief, Fire Department.
You're
So-
like Joe Barry. Joe
Joe
Barry
Barry?
always introduces himself too.
Oh, I thought that
Very
was the
good.
protocol here,
Excellent.
Counselor.
It is.
So, with regards to theater events, okay? So theater events, in the fire code, you're not allowed to have an open flame inside a theater, okay? There are special provisions in which you can have that. But in order specifically for the landmark there, the landmark, if you're familiar with it, we propose to charge a pyrotechnic fee for that because on the interior of the landmark, because of its historic nature, there is no fire detection, there's no notification, no detection inside that theater. So for us to allow someone to come in there and light a candle or pour pyrotechnics in there, that would expose those 2,000
2,700.
2,700 possible occupants in there with no notification. So for that particular one, we would require a pyrotechnic permit for that, just so that we have the proper personnel on scene, that we ensure that they go through all the permitting processes with regards to using proper ordinances or making sure we have proper clearances, notification for the occupants in there. But with regards to other, did I answer your question regarding that?
You did. I was wondering, I know the Yen Center and the War Memorial and all that, they always have.
Yes.
And certainly the Dome. What I'm trying to get at is, one thing I was wondering, how much more revenue would you garner if this was passed? How much more revenue would the fire department? Of course, the money wouldn't go to the fire department, the money would go to the general fund.
And I think we're just recovering our costs. We're not, I mean, it would go in the revenue line, but we're not actually making a profit.
But the way I got it, just on the back of an envelope type figuring is, you're only talking about $6,700 with just the Mets.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that,
$6,700 for the whole season.
yep, and then that would only pay for the cost of us sitting the people. If we charge $1,000, then we'd make a profit if we charge more than $300.
See, and this is like maybe my, I figure, and I try to get the information from Samoro. I figure, as far as this goes, first of all these license fees, they all should be reviewed. Every single one of them. I'm glad your department took the initiative to do this. And if I was going to ask the administration, I guess they're on vacation this week. We should review all of these license fees. But second of all, yeah, I know that with the chiefs, and maybe we have a professional here too, Mr. Councilman Nave, but if they garner 5,000 or 6,000 people more a game because of those fireworks, this is a wash, just in sales tax. This is like a wash. So I think there should be a separate, I mean, what's a community event going to benefit? What's a community benefit in all of this? You know, I certainly think you should get, but this is only $6,700 more for the whole season.
And if there was money that was just given to us in the budget to pay for this without the fee schedule, it's just, as a fire chief, we have things we need to do to make sure the firefighters are safe, the people are safe that are outside of this.
No doubt about it. You're the most professional department in the state. But I'm just wondering in the end, what is the community benefit? If he can't, he has to cancel, and I don't know how the funding works for the Syracuse Mets. I'm sure Councilor Nave gets paid by some entity, but obviously I don't think the New York Mets actually pay for everything that happens in
So
that stadium.
the Mets are actually owned by Diamond Baseball Holdings. It's a multiple dollar, they're not a mom and pop organization.
Who's that?
I'm talking about
Diamond Baseball?
Diamond Baseball Holdings own the Syracuse Mets, the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, the Brooklyn Cyclones, the Worcester Red Sox, Scranton Rail Riders, and that's just a few. They're not a mom and pop organization. So once we signed that agreement, and this happened in past years, the Mets have decided to add on more special fireworks nights in the middle of the week, which is not on the schedule. They'll add something more to it, and then they'll call Chief and they'll say, oh, by the way, Chief, we just added another few more within that permit we have. So now he's tied down, Chief is now tied down because they're going to do that event. You got to get a fire inspector there. 7th inning, you got to get a ladder. Just remember, when we had that convent fire, if that convent fire had happened a week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, number one, there would have been no ball game that night because they would not have been able to access enough water. We don't have the fire department presence there that night. So in my opinion is that many organizations who consider nonprofit sometimes take advantage of our city, take advantage of that permit fee for the year. And I can say
Well,
that
this is
though.
not
And I've talked to
Baseball is
Mr.
not a-
Small.
They're not a nonprofit.
No, they're not a mom and pop. And I've talked to Jason Small on this.
But what I'm saying is the city of Syracuse benefits from another 5,000 people coming to that ballpark every night. Because that's where, I'm just like, they might get 10,000, but I figure another 5,000, half that attendance is because of the fireworks.
So they already got their sales, season ticket holders, they already got the money in. So you're talking about walk-up, which might be another 2,000, 3,000. Yeah, 3,000, which would boost that revenue that night and food sales.
Soda and everything else.
Right,
too.
absolutely. But then sometimes, but we have to look at the bottom dollar. It's not a mom and pop organization. They're making a profit. I think we should compare what happens in Worcester and Scranton and Binghamton.
But before you say that publicly, I mean, before you know, I know you're espousing,
I'm trying to be,
but
I'm
just
not
wondering.
being partisan.
No, I know you're not. I'm just wondering, have you seen their financials at all? I'm just wondering who actually pays for this. You're saying they do.
Well, I can answer, I can answer a little bit of that, right, is, like, so, just say the Mets, because that's what we're talking about. There are 7 different private licensed pyrotechnic companies that actually apply for the permit. Jason Small and the Mets do not apply for the permit. The pyrotechnic companies do, and then they charge the
Mets.
organization, whether it's Landmark, and so there's 7 companies that are for-profit organizations that are, however that business model works for them, that's what they're doing. And you know, there's 2 buckets of money. It's a bucket of money that we're getting from the budget that we go through the budget process that we have in this bucket A. And then we're doing all our life safety things, fire prevention, all those things, and we're trying to do it out of that bucket. And in this bucket is to provide staffing for these fireworks. What this legislation does provide for us is that bucket of money that comes from the tax base that comes in our budget. We're going to actually have a secondary bucket of money that's only going to be filled up when somebody applies for the permit.
$700 doesn't go in your bucket, Chief.
No.
It goes in the general revenue budget.
But what I'm saying is, though, paying for that $6,700, well, and essentially, I mean, our money's intertwined with the rest of the city money, right? But it's not coming out of the money that I was given for my budget for that annual. We're fronting the money, but at some point, the money's coming back to the city. And the way I look at it, that money, even though it's going to the general fund, should come back in our budget for next year.
It's common knowledge among economic development folks. For every dollar you spend on, and I'm sure Councilor Peniago knows this, on cultural or sports events, $4 comes back as far as economic development benefit goes.
But
So
it
I
doesn't
think that's
come in
what
the
you have
budget,
to
right?
weigh for anything like this.
I don't think it would be a deterrent.
So we're just trying to be able to pay for this. Like, we don't.
Well, I mean, it's publicly stated by Mr. Samoro that he probably would cancel three of the shows.
I don't think so.
Well, okay,
I'm
when you
sorry,
become
my
head
opinion.
of the Syracuse
Well,
Mets,
if the
you're gonna go by
pyrotech
what he
says,
said.
oh, by the
But I
way,
mean,
okay.
but I
It's
guess
only a couple
the bottom line for us is to be able to like provide the service and to be able to pay for it
Yeah.
out of the money that I'm using for life safety things. And this isn't a life safety thing. We're trying to be able to create some revenue based off the fee schedule so people can go have a good time. So whatever economic development dollars come in, I'm not against what you're saying, but it's kind of coming off the
I
back.
just want to make sure we weigh
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And any of these license fees or anything like that, anything that's down the road may be prohibitive for us to have people come in and enjoy community benefits or not, like our community celebrations like this.
I get what you're saying, Ogie, and I get what you're saying, but we gotta go up, even parks went up on their fees, like, you have to, like, you guys are losing to do events, right? So it's taken out to the budget, and if anything, you should be able to break even, not lose, right? So I do agree, understand what you're saying.
And if
about the
somebody
dollars, but
started-
we gotta go up, and every situations be different, right? You have the ability to say, hey, this situation is different, this is about this is this, you know, you have that ability to, you know, waive and shift things, but, to lose a couple $100 for an event in a budget that we're, you guys at least have to.
In our overtime budget, right, it's used for frontline,
Right.
replacement of firefighters and things like that, so.
By the way, you guys, sorry to switch the subject, but by the way, I watched, the fire on on Bradford and Genesee Street your fire department, and they were on it. You guys did a phenomenal job.
Okay,
Getting to that fire.
Yeah,
making sure-
Chief Downs was there with the team, and
Yeah, it was
yeah. So yeah, we want to just be able to fund these, and if they do a firework show every night of the year, there's no way we can afford it out of our budget. But if we have this fee schedule,
$700?
yeah, like $6,700 I could be using for things that aren't non-safety things. Like the money that's in my budget isn't to pay for supporting a pyrotechnic company. The money in my budget as a fire chief, in my opinion, is to pay for our firefighters, to give them the resources. You know, I know, Councilor Hogan, I'm speaking to the choir, but what I'm saying is I don't have money that's etched out of my budget to pay for these things, and we've been doing it, and then I'm cutting other things, but this permit fee schedule will allow us to have a secondary income to pay for these, and the money that's given to me in my budget, I can use for the stuff to protect the firefighters as they're doing their job in the city. I think that's what this proposal is trying to do. And if there's another way to fund it, you know, I'm not sure what that is, but fees are supposed to be able to pay for the product and the fire code
That's why I would push for a
enforcement.
look at all fee structures and what we're trying to accomplish as far as charging fees. Because some people think, that, you know, taxpayers' money should just go to support a lot of events in the city of Syracuse.
Yeah.
I know we do that as far as our special events downtown. You know, I was involved with special events a lot. I hate to see, you know, some theater production not being able to go ahead because of a,
Yeah.
you know,
And
any fee structure that might be prohibitive for them doing it because they're on the margin a lot anyway.
And even before this, I think Councilor Paniagua was asking, well, what are we going to do while permits are in limbo? But, you know, in this summer, I was contemplating just denying the application because I didn't have the money in my budget to pay for these. So if I don't have the money to pay for them, they're not going to do the fireworks anyway if we can't afford them. So
But also, like you just said, you compared it to Binghamton, Rochester, I think, or Buffalo.
Rochester, yeah.
And, I mean, some of these games or shows, they're traveling to all these other areas also. So they're familiar with the cost
Of other
of doing
fees,
business.
yes.
It's just lower
It's-
here in Syracuse.
Yeah.
It's antiquated,
to a detriment to the
basically.
budget, you know.
So, Chief, I want to go back to the legislation, special item display number 3, okay? The first paragraph, or at least second, that says the permit fee shall be double when a display has been conducted before the city has issued the permit. How do we enforce that?
I'll let Chief Davis explain that.
So the double fee concept comes from the Central Permit Office, from our code enforcement. Anytime a contractor goes out and does work, you know, does work, permitted work that should be permitted in the city, whether it's building construction, the city allows, or the Central Permit Office or our code enforcement allows us to double fee that person for doing the work without a permit. So the concept about double feeing, this would prevent folks from coming in, setting up a pyrotechnic event, setting it off, and now we find out about it afterwards. You know what I mean? That would be a discouragement to say, okay, you come, you put your service on. We still need to come back and review it, make sure that you did it safely, figure out how it fell through the gaps that we weren't there or that you didn't submit a permit. And I think that double fee will prevent individuals from, if we had that language in there, would prevent individuals from coming in believing that they could sneak it by us. You know, we've had quite a few events here and some of the smaller theaters around here about pyrotechnic events going on that we have don't know about till after the fact, until we see them on YouTube. You know what I mean? And some of those things, you know, we see them on YouTube, we go in, they got flamethrowers, things like going on the stage we know nothing about. You know what I mean? And in order for them to perform those things, they have to alter the fire alarm in the building, either turn it off. So now we have a venue that has 500,000-600,000 people in there, no fire alarm in there to alert them that something's going on. So we have to have some type of, I'm not going to say punitive, but something preventative to stop folks from fly-by-night companies or somebody coming in, putting on a performance, and then leaving out.
Chief Davis, as far as like that first line of code sparklers, and what about weddings and events, those type, have you had those events need
So
the,
over the years, Syracuse Fire Department, with some of the bigger wedding venues like Hotel Syracuse and some of those wedding venues, and we've developed a good relationship with some of those property owners, such that when they schedule an event or they have an event, someone at a wedding, the code sparklers are the things, football teams run out under,
they shoot
the
up.
smoke machines, things like that they'll contact us and send their applicant to us to say, okay, you're gonna need a permit, because they don't wanna turn off the whole fire alarm in their hotel or alter their fire protection in the hotel based on that one event. So they alert us to those things, we go over, we research it, make sure that equipment that they're using is licensed equipment, make sure that the spacing or where they're setting it off is not going to adversely set off a fire alarm. So that's part of our permit review, an on-site permit review, which is included in the fee. We go to the venue, make sure that things are laid out properly, make sure that the protection systems in the building are operating properly, and then we issue the permit based on that evaluation. So we have a very good relationship with respect to Syracuse University, not Syracuse University, the hotel, that newer venue that's downtown, because we've been involved in the permitting process, getting those places online, and we've put them on notice that when they have these type of events that they need permits. And again,
What about like Westcott Theater?
Westcott
Eastwood?
Theater,
I mean, there
again,
was some issues there.
again,
and-
that is an ongoing,
So
that is
it's-
an ongoing,
So in a situation like that, do you meet with and it's in no uncertain terms, you meet with the concert promoter, or you meet with the people that run the Westcott and say, this has to happen? You have
again,
to apply
but
for a permit?
the obligation for a permit for that, say the Westcott Theater, any theater, belongs with that property owner.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't necessarily have an interaction with, I can't, or the city can't fine or, discipline a promoter.
Right.
You know what I mean? We only have ability to discipline that property owner. So that's where our focus goes for these type of things. But yes, with regards to that, we have been in active conversation with Westcott Theater and a whole bunch of other venues to see if we can get this situation straightened out.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Well, Chief, your team, I want to
Thank you.
all of you for being here and taking your time to explain this to us, councilors. Thank you for staying here for 2 hours. This will conclude our meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Oh, it was. It was really good. It was good.